Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
This is the world premiere. Great morning, precious people. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for the number one talk show right here in West Alabama, The Culture Call, with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM. It is the place where Tuscaloosa meets the world. And for the next 2 hours, that's right, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're going to be talking a little bit about everything. That's right, from society to sports, education to economics, from religion to relationships. And you know how we do. We are always here to create a safe space to have empowering, provocative, and yes, sometimes controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in and chat it up with us every time you think about it right here as we learn together on the Culture Call. First of all, I want to say I'll give a big shout out to those of you who are our first time listeners. That's right. If this is your first time listening to the CC family, that's right. We want to welcome you. I am telling you, get ready, buckle up. We're going to take a ride today. Yes, absolutely. And so whether you're at your job, at your cubicle, whether you're traveling through the city or just around the house, cleaning up, whatever it is, the Culture Call is going to bless you really good. So great. Listen, we are glad and grateful that you are joining us. Second of all, I want to say a big shout out to those who are my consistent listeners. That's right. You make us number one, right? The number one talk show in West Alabama. That's what Arbitron says. That's what we're going to believe it, right? But yes, every day you hang out with your boy and you hit me up and you encourage me when you see me in the streets. Man, listen, I'm telling you, I am so absolutely positively blessed to have you guys on my team pushing me as I help build our community. It's so important, and I really, really appreciate you. And listen, we cannot go any further except we give a big, or our biggest shout out to Brother Jay that heats it up for us every morning from 5 a.m. all the way until he passes me what I call the revival baton. I'm telling you, he has me in here, listening to him, and I'm like, you making it hot for me. Yes, that's right. And so we partner and we make sure that your morning is exactly what it needs to be, that you won't be late, last or lost, and you will know everything that's going on. So yes, we send a big shout out to Brother Jay that makes it happen for us. That's right. Cooks us some good breakfast, and now we're going to run on to see what the end is going to be. Absolutely. Okay, listen, I need y'all to do me a favor. I need you to do me a favor. Here we go. I need you to go to the App Store on your Apple or your Android device and go ahead and search out Praise 93.3 FM. And guess what? Once you get there, you're going to find a free 99 app. That's right. Doesn't cost you a thing. Do me a favor. Go ahead and download that on your phone, on your smart device, so that you can listen to me while you're on the move. That's right. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing to tune in to Praise 93.3 and definitely the Culture Call. That's right. You don't have to miss a thing. So no matter where you are, that's right. If you've got that app, you can put in your earphones, your AirPods, and listen to us while you're at your job, while you're in the grocery store, or, while you're driving. It does not matter what you're doing. We've made Praise 93.3 portable for you. That's right. And so yes, those of you who have that app, you already know that you can hear us on the go. And so it doesn't matter where you are, whether you are in Toledo, Ohio, Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, California, or right here in the beautiful city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and the surrounding areas, Mobile, Montgomery, Birmingham, Huntsville. That's right. Gordo, Reform, Aliceville, Bowling, Utah, wherever you are, you can listen to us right here on the Culture Call and Praise 93.3. And check it. Here's what else you can do for for me. Listen, I really need y'all to do this. Go ahead and email me your public service announcements or your events at culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com. Why? I'm glad that you asked, because I want everybody to know the awesome things that you're doing in your neck of the woods, in our community, to make it better and to make us stronger. So yeah, whatever's going on in your church, your organization, your sorority, your fraternity, whether you're an artist getting ready to have a recording or a concert or a preacher getting ready to start a church or have a revival, we want to let everybody know. That's right, Lottie, Dottie, and everybody know exactly what's going on in your area so that we can put some faces in the place and support you. Why? Because we do it better when we do it together. And listen, go ahead and save this number, 205-752-4800, 205-752-4800, and you can call in the golden number and chat it up with me. That's right. Let's talk about what we're talking about this morning and every day, and you can let me know how I'm doing, whether I'm stinking up the joint or whether I'm doing a good job. It doesn't matter. I want you to do that. Also, on that app, it has a chat feature, and when you chat it up with me, listen, it'll go straight to my email, and I read it, and guess what? And I will say it on the air. Some of you don't like to talk on the air or can't. No problem. Guess what? We want to make sure that your voice and your sentiment is heard. So yes, you can definitely hit me up on the chat, and we can have a conversation there as well. Also, I need you to go ahead to my social media page. Right now, I'm only on Facebook, The Culture Call, and you can follow me. All you got to do is press the like button. You can follow me there, and guess what? You can send me your events, your announcements. You can chat it up, whatever you need to do on our Facebook page. Absolutely. Everybody should have a Facebook, right? Yeah, definitely. Listen, so do me a favor, sit back and relax and grab your coffee. You know how we do it here, Maxwell House or Starbucks. And maybe you're not a coffee drinker. Maybe you like tea. Well, go ahead and get you some herbal tea, chamomile if you're trying to calm down, and definitely you can get some green tea if you need a little caffeine kick to make it through the day. And of course, as always, you can get that alkaline water. That's the water normally with the black label. My favorite is Essentia, and go ahead and detox that body. You know we're getting ready to get into this weekend and all that good food. So go ahead and start now, making room for what you're about to eat. That's right. And detoxify that body, get down to the cellular level and wake it up. Get hydrated, and let's get into the culture. Culture Call. Listen, family, there has been so much going on, but let me start here. Because I know y'all say that's what he says all the time. This is indeed Holy Week. Holy Week is when Christians and believers commemorate and celebrate the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it is happening all over the world, and definitely here in Alabama. I believe that when we get to this time of year, beyond Christmas, this is the most significant time of year for those of us who are people of faith, because it reminds us that one man died and gave up his life for all of us, that we might have everlasting, abundant, and eternal life. Isn't that a blessing? Absolutely. And so I don't want to wax preachy, but guess what? I am a preacher, and I get excited around this time of year because I want everybody to know, the reason for our faith. That's what the text says, that we ought to be always ready to give an answer for the cause and for the reason of our faith. It's what we in theological circles call an apology, apologetics. We ought to be able to defend what we believe. Well, this week is a good week to start and get excited and get rejuvenated about what we really believe in terms of being a Christian, being a believer, and what is the cause of our outlook and perspective on the world, on our life, on our circumstances and situation. Guess what? We've got somebody on our side, and he fights for us, and he fought for us. Yes, that's right. And now there is no more condemnation, no more shame, no more handicaps, no more disabilities. We can stand stand tall in life because we stand tall in Christ. Ain't that good news? That's right. That is the gospel message, that no matter what you're facing and where you come from, that whosoever believes in him, guess what? Shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And that definitely, but my brother, my sister, is good news. Don't you think? Absolutely. Listen, and not only that, we have the responsibility to share our excitement, to share our faith, and to share our reason and resolve with those who are around us. That's right. We have to do what Paul told Timothy to do the work of an evangelist. That means that you and I are responsible and obligated to share the good news. That's right. That word evangelist comes from that word euangelion, which means good news, to herald the good message, the good news of Jesus' resurrection and Jesus' inclusion of everyone. It does not matter where you people are found as long as they are found by Christ. Absolutely. And that's what I believe. That's what you believe, or at least that's what we should believe as Christians, that no one is excluded, and that whosoever really believes upon him, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Now, here's what I believe. You don't have to believe it. There are many ways to Jesus. Some of us found Jesus through addiction. Some of us found Jesus through our habits, our sexual habits. Some of us found Jesus with nasty attitudes and unforgiveness or discouragement or depression. So there are many paths to Jesus, but there's only one way to God, and that's through Jesus Christ. That's right. That's right. Everybody does not come to Jesus the same way, but when we get to Jesus, we are on our way to the Father. And why is that important? That is significant because it is the Father that has created us to worship him and to live out divine purpose. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today in the backdrop of all that's going on in the world. On this Thursday, I want to talk about that we are here on divine purpose, especially those of us who are in the Black community. I'm going to give some intricacies and some nuances to what I'm talking about. But one of the things that we cannot do is lose our faith and lose our perspective in how and what God has done for us, what he has done through us, and what he has caused us to accomplish through all of our all of the things that have been against our community and our people historically, especially in this country. And what we're finding even now, that our divine purpose and agency, worth and value are still being attacked. It is still, I hate to say it, but yes, it is still being attacked by racism and systemic oppression and those who don't see us as worthy human counterparts and partners in this life. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people are still shackled with that mindset. But guess what? In spite of what they feel and what they think and their perspective about who we are as Black people, as brown people, and all the hues in between, guess what? I know that I am here for a purpose. I know that I have an assignment that is connected to my life. And I want to encourage you that in spite of what you might see on the news and hear and read on social media, no one can absolutely stop you from being who God has called you to be. They have tried to since we arrived here from Jamestown, and even before then, that 1619, 1492, Jamestown, Virginia, when the slave trade, chattel slavery started in this country. They've tried to strip us during those hundreds of years of slavery, and then they tried to strip us during post-slavery, during Reconstruction. They tried to strip us of humanity with the Ku Klux Klan and Jim Crow. They tried to do it with segregation and inadequate housing, inadequate education. They tried to do it even in the 70s with COINTELPRO. They're trying to do it now with mass incarceration and poor and inadequate educational facilities. That's right. It's still going on right now. Their newest thing is to attack affirmative action and CRT, critical race theory. And now it's woke, which is every time we come up with something in our culture and our people come up with a way to express our vigilance and our call for equality and equity in this country, they somehow supplant and steal our word and turn it against, and try at least to turn it against us, and now it's DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. But it's all the same. It is, we are intimidated, or they better yet are intimidated that their privilege, their white supremacy, their white institutionalism that says that they are ordained somehow by God to be the prime and supreme race is falling. The browning of America has made a lot of people nervous. And guess what? When I talk to people about racism and they get unnerved, what I remind them is, first of all, racism is not a real construct from the beginning. That, in other words, God, in his genius, did not organize race like it was used or has been used in the 1500s from Europe. Right? It's a social construct to mediate and to promulgate, if I can say it like that, that one race, the Caucasian European race, is superior to all races, right? And one of the things that, they're trying to wipe it out in terms of the history books, because a lot of those things, especially in this country, their fingerprints, their ancestors' fingerprints on some of the most hated, violent, vitriolic, things that have happened to people all over the world. And dare I say, in this country, from the Native Americans to the enslaved Africans, to now even the immigrants, to the Japanese, to the immigrants that's coming from the southern border. You can see how Texas and all of them are, they just want to shoot at will, shoot children and shoot mothers who are just trying to, and fathers who are trying to escape to make a better life. They find race in everything. This past week we were looking at on the news the tragedy that happened in Baltimore, Maryland, with the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which was a major thoroughfare in Baltimore, Maryland. And we are yet praying for those and praying for that city as they attempt to rebuild. But there were 6 lives lost. And somehow, even in the midst of that profound tragedy, racism was raising its head against the Mayor Scott there, that he shouldn't be there, that he was a DEI hire, or DCI election, even though that Baltimore is a 60% black city, in terms of the people that populate there. And so a DEI, if we're going to tell the truth, a DEI hire there or election there would have been a white person, right? That if black people, elected a white person there, that would have been a DEI election. Nonetheless, they took the time and raised its ugly head there, saying that he's not qualified. And then, of course, the governor there is also a African American, Governor Westmore. He was there. Or he is there trying to go through all of that, trying to put his city back together, trying to make sure that his state has what it needs, and of course racism is raising its ugly head, and I don't know about y'all, but I am sick and tired of trying to be gaslit on one hand to make it seem like racism is a thing of the past, that this is a post-racial society. I am absolutely sick and tired and flabbergasted with that notion, when in fact we can turn on the television today and see it being, promulgated, being talked about, being elevated in this whole, make America great again, which if you really think about it, when you dig into it, you have to think about, when has America really been great for black people and minorities? And when you stop and think about that, that puts something inside of me, as a student, as one that loves history, I'm well versed on, the systemic building and the characters about that. But now listen what they're doing. At one hand, they're trying to wipe it out of the history books, banning, banning schools from having those history books, from Martin Luther King to Rosa Parks. And anything that talks about, this whole African American history and our fight for freedom and liberation in this country. So they'll do that on one hand, and they'll remove affirmative action, so that we can't have access, or that, that they will take back access from what they consider to be premier schools. And I always say what they consider to be, because to me, our HBCUs are just on par with Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Brown, etc., right? And that's what they do. They don't want us there in what they consider to be their spaces, because let me tell you why. It is not that we are underperforming. It is not that we are underachieving, Culture Call. But what the issue is that whenever we show up, we bring a level of excellence and viability and genius and intelligence and achievement to wherever we are, right? And so, and we're showing up, in those schools. And so there is a tremendous insecurity in this country that supports this Trumpian MAGA removal of anything minority, anything black and brown, that reminds them of what I believe is their inferiority. Now, let me push pause. That is not to say that every white person has racial animus against minorities. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that we cannot ignore the fact and the truth that it exists in our country, right? And it is that kind of fear, that kind of rage, that kind of animus and animosity, if I can say that. It stems from insecurity, and it stems from this hallucinated notion that I am better than somebody else, that God made me better than somebody else. And watch this. This is why there is such a context for us of celebration during this week, especially those of us who are believers. Because what Jesus says and what the script says is that whosoever believes. That means the white man, that means the black man, that means the Native American, that means the Asian, that means the Hispanic. Whosoever means, guess what? Whosoever. Right? And from the beginning of the early Christian church, post the apostolic period, when the church started marrying the government, right? Around Constantine and all of those, when they started marrying the government, they tried to put in this hierarchical system that put them in a place of superiority. In other words, when Christianity started meeting Roman Catholicism, there was placed a hierarchy, a patriarchy, and a racial context that you cannot find in the scriptures. Now, the text dealt with a lot of ethnicity. Yes, but not race. Let me say that again. In other words, if there was wars, there were wars against regions. If there was any kind of warfare, any kind of trial, or any kind of a strategic back and forth, it was between nations and ethnicities, not color. That was put in Europe. Yeah, that was put when it started in Western Europe, and really started not in Great Britain, but it started in Portugal. That's right. It started in Portugal, with King Henry in Portugal, right? And they wrote edicts, to make it seem like black people were inferior to Europeans. And from Portugal, it spread all over, this notion spread all over Europe. Every now and then, Culture Call, I'm going to drop some history on you so you'll know that this thing didn't just start. It has tremendous systemic roots. Right? And here is another thing that I believe. I believe that when we ignore that, when we don't cede the notion and we don't acquiesce to the truth that the roots of racism and this mindset of others being inferior, what we call otherization of races and people and genders, when we do that, that is antithetical to Christian moral and value. That is antithetical to true, let me say that, to true Christian teaching and principle. That is not the way God set it up, period. That is not the way that God set it up. All of us who are human possess the imago Dei, the image of God within us. Let us make man in our own image, in our likeness. And to man, that's right, let him be fruitful, let him multiply, let him replenish the earth, let him subdue and have dominion over everything, all of the animals in the sea, in the air that creeps upon the earth. That's right, not dominion over each other. We were created to live in harmonious partnership with each other. Now that's how the book begins. Now there it is. That's how the book begins. There was no chauvinism. There was no misogyny. There was no man over woman. There was no woman over man. There was no black over white, white over black. None of that existed. All of those things existed after the fall. All of those notions came in when man, now watch this, when man had a right to decide what was good and evil. All right. So that, come on, let's just take a lesson. Let's do a little 30-second Bible study. All right. Listen, that's what it means. That's not, God started off that only thing man knew was God and good. And what God determined to be good was all that man knew. That's all that he knew. He never, and that was from the perspective of God. In other words, man was created to think like God, to have the perspective of God, to see things like God. Right? Exactly. And this is why man in his initial creation was warned not to eat of the tree in the midst of the garden, right? Which was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Why? Because man now begins to determine what is right and wrong for himself. Do you see what I'm going with that? Exactly. That's right. Now we say, well, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, that one is good, that one is bad. And then we begin to set up systems and structures that reflect the nature of our own preferences. Did y'all hear that culture call? Because that was a message. That's right. That now we have to wrestle every day dealing in a world where people are doing what is right according to, in their own eyes, according to their own perspectives and their own perceptions. It's what I think. It's what I think. And so the early church, after the apostles and early church fathers, were hijacked by this, this domination of the monarchy marrying the mission of what was supposed to be the mission of the church, right? And then they began to create edicts and formulate popes and positions and titles and all of these systemic things that, right, creating race understanding, creating, second class citizenry for women and this whole otherization of people that were not European, right? That's where you get this whole understanding of manifest destiny, that they began to think that it was God's will for them to go around the world and conquer it and overthrow people who were created in the image of God, just like them, to create that and to thwart them and to destroy them in the name of God. And you see it even now with this whole Christian nationalism. Yeah, and this 7 mountains prophecy and this new apostolic contingency that's coming on now that's trying to overthrow the government. They're trying to say there are 7 mountains and all of that, and they should control every 7 mountains. But let me say this, that the reason why, come on, because this Holy Week, And I feel my Holy Week coming out now. So bear with me. The reason why God sent his son is so that we all could believe on him and be restored, not to Genesis 3, but to Genesis 1 and 2. He came to seek and to save not those who were lost, but that which was lost. What was lost? A sense of mind, a sense of understanding. Yes, a sense of God thoughtness, right? Isaiah intimates that when he says, God says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts and my ways are not your ways. They are dimensions apart. And so our country even now is trapped in this whole system that started eons ago about bettering, about othering people, thinking that one person and one people are better than others. And it has a deleterious effect on these here United States and, dare I say, the globe. And let me say this, that when your fathers, when the fathers do things and they don't repent from it, because as a nation, there has been no repentance and no repayment for the harsh enslavement of black people and minorities in the country. And when you don't repent, that thing empowers itself and embeds itself as a mindset in the preceding generations or the generations that come after. And so America is dealing with some systemic things that she must realize. She must understand. And here is where it begins. Listen, because I could go on about this, but here is where it begins. That we have to regain our righteous mind in this country. I'm going to talk about that today, and I know it's going to unnerve some people, but we got to talk about how America has lost its righteous mind and how she can regain it. What are the steps to regaining our righteous mind so that we can see each other exactly how God designed us, how God created us, and what and who Christ died for? That's right. All of us should have the right to abundant, everlasting, and eternal life. And we're going to talk about that on the Culture Call today. This is your boy, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3. We've got a wonderful... This is the world. And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3, your inspiration station. And this morning, I know as we move forward to Holy Week on this beautiful Thursday, guess what? We are talking about divine worth. We're trying to give some understanding and some nuance about what's happening in our country and how we can be better positioned to make sure that whatever is going on, we understand what our particular place, our divine design, our value and our worth in this country. And, you know, I have an opportunity to pastor a great church and pastor a lot of inquisitive and, intelligent people. And to God be the glory for that. And one of the things that I love to share with them, is an understanding of who God has designed them to be on the backdrop of the world that they live in. I think that is important because that is where we gain a valuable perspective. That is where I believe the rubber meets the road as we reach and talk to another generation. They want to feel and understand that I'm not just here just to be here, that I have a salvific purpose. I have, that I'm not just a person of faith, or you're not just trying to convince me or manipulate me to serve a God that I've never seen in terms of visibility, to serve a Jesus that I've never met. Historically, you're trying to get me to do that, but I need an understanding that all of this is not in vain, because when I look at the world and when I see what they're saying and what I witness on social media, what I experience when I'm at school and college, what I experience when I'm in the workplace, doesn't feel like there's a God that really is looking out for me. And I get it. It is the struggle of faith. It is the struggle of belief. And all of us have been there. You know, all of us have been to the place where we go through certain things, and certain phenomenon and experiences in our lives have us thinking, you know, God, where the heck are you? You know, Coach Cole, if we can just keep it real, Lord, where are you? I'm doing my best. You know, you know, they tell us to go to school. I've done my best in school. They tell us to go to college, and, you know, now they're saying I'm not qualified. I'm not smart enough. You know, they're living through things that, you know, that would make you question. That would make you question if there is a higher being or a supreme being, a sovereign entity that's looking out for us. You know, there are things that are going on in this country that sometimes you just gotta, you know, shake your head and just wring your hands, because you're like, what in the world is going on? And I try to encourage them that you cannot allow the obstacle and the opposition to determine your ontology. Now I know that's a $25 word, so I'm gonna break it down. You cannot allow the opposition or the obstacle that comes from racism, that comes from dire economic perspective, that comes from, you know, people being against you, systems being against you. You cannot allow that to diminish your sense of being. That's what that word ontology, your sense of being, your sense of where you come from, how God has made you. You cannot allow that to overthrow and to shipwreck your faith and belief in God and in yourself. You know, when Paul talks about greater is he that's within us than he that is in the world, he's talking about not Paul, but John. When he says that to us, when he says that, Paul says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. When those words by John and Paul, the apostles, come to us, it is designed to reformat and to transform our minds to begin thinking with the mind of Christ, or to be thinking like with the God mind, how God created me, right? That God made me gifted, that God made me a person who is a leader, that God made me a person who is creative, that is talented, that's not insecure, even though sometimes I struggle throughout my life with insecurity when I'm in certain settings and I'm confronted with certain doors and opportunities. I always, you know, second guess whether I am not qualified, but if I am ready to walk through that door. And before you look at me with a tone of voice, Coach Cole, all of us do that. Before I get to the promotion or get to the stage or to the platform, I do it on Sundays and on Wednesdays. When I stand behind the pulpit or the lectern, I'm always wondering, am I ready? Am I adequate? Am I enough for this moment? And then God moves through me and begins to speak through me and to me and reassures me that you are the one. You are the one that I've assigned. You are the one that I have purposed. You are the one that can do it. And so I get, you know, the notions of our younger people and our generations coming up when they're seeing things that they probably never seen before. They're wondering, you know, how can they be a part of the same faith of these nationalists who call themselves Christian that support a unrepentant, you know, philanderer, adulterer, rapist, fraudster? How can they support, you know, throw all of their faith and their backing supporting that man, supporting that system, supporting that kind of force? And watch this. Why does not God intervene? Why does not God overthrow those systems, you know? And, you know, those are complex questions as we talk about worth, divine worth, and the signature of God upon them. That's hard to rationalize, that level of violence and brutality and suppression, you know, when they look at how they treat the migrants. You know, the lives of those that were lost on the bridge in Baltimore were Hispanic, from Honduras, from Mexico, from all of those areas, and they were good people. You know, they were were people who were spouses, who were fathers, who were just trying to make a better life for themselves. And for a notion for people to say that they were worthless or that they were illegal, that is some of the vilest, vocabulary that's used. That if there are European immigrants, that have stayed here past their visa or that have snuck in this country from Canada or from any other European country, they're not called illegal. They're not castigated. They are given the opportunity to become citizens, right? And even if they are political refugees and running away from some harsh systems that they were under, some harsh governmental dictatorships and authoritarianism, when they're running away from that and they come to this country and they are white, they're called refugees. They're called, political prisoners. But when they come from the South, from the southern border, they're people that have a little melanation in their skin. They're called illegal. And beloved, you can believe it or not, that is targeted. That is designed to be so. That is designed to be exactly, there is no, I misspoke, or no, there is no obfuscation there. That is targeted. That is how they're marketing them. This whole idea of illegal individual. There is nobody illegally human. Let me say it again, Culture Call. And even if you use that language, stop that, because you're parroting. You're parroting language and vocabulary from the empire, from those who were once thinking that you were illegal. Right? So that when I see black and brown people on some of these quote unquote conservative radio stations and TV stations, and they're parroting this language, I'm sitting there like, are you forgetting that not too long ago that you would never have been even given space on this particular station? That your voice would never be able to be in the same room, that you would have had to come through the back door to sweep the studio when white people were not even present. And I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago. 30, 40 years ago. That was the reality in this country for black and brown people. So how now are you black and brown and got a little, adjacency to the institution, and now you're using their language? How does that even work? It's a lost sense of self. It's a lost sense of being. It's a lost sense of the continuity of God saying all of us are created equal. Do you know that our agency and our worth in this country was bought in blood? There is a theologian, Dr. James Cone, that wrote a book called The Cross and the Lynching Tree, where he parallels the lynching of black citizens in this country, black people in this country, with the cross of Jesus Christ. That, I think, is important, that he says that every time that they lynched a black person in America, they were nailing Christ to the cross again. That he brought profound parallelism to the whole notion that this country's establishment and its present progression is still marked and mired in blood. They have to always historically mark it out in this country. They have to have somebody to hate, not understanding that it is not race, it's class. It's classism. It's a caste system based upon economics, that the rich and the oligarchy in this country do not want those who are poor to overthrow them. They want to maintain the billionaire status, the millionaire status. They want to control the economy. They want to control the politics. They want to control the laws. They want to control the systems. That's what they want, right? But they cannot continue to do that if those who are in a lower economic class, right, join together. That's what Bacon's rebellion was about historically, right? And so they created this whole idea of race, that they make the poor white people, Yeah, that has outhouses and improper education, that haven't even gone to high school, that they don't want any kind of similarity, understanding between the black poor and the white poor. That white poverty and black poverty is the same. Guess what? It's still money, zero in both of our pockets. It's still struggling in our communities, just like, each other, right? But they have so clouded it, and they have made, and Lyndon Baines Johnson say that you can take the poorest white man and elevate his whiteness over the poorest black man and steal all of his money, as long as he supports you hating the black man. Right? And they're being right now, y'all, a couple of days ago, the former president started selling the Bible, the God Bless America Bible, right? He's not selling that to rich people. Who is he selling that to? Come on. He is selling that to poor white folks who are excited about being white. That's their claim to fame. That's their one and only privilege. And they know that the systems in this country, in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, all around, that poor whites know that their only privilege over poor minorities is their whiteness. They know that they will never be judged on the basis of their color. Right? Even if the economic caste system places them beneath, even if this predatory capitalistic system places them on the bottom, if they're never rich, at least I'm not black. At least I'm not Hispanic. That's what that's what it is. And their minds are clouded, and their minds, guess what? Their poor white children have to go to the same place as the poor black children. Right? The poor whites are not going to get the vouchers for these schools, just like the poor blacks are not. But they can't see it. And so they support a man that's promoting the only privilege that they have. I was looking at a broadcast, and I was like, yo, Doc, you ain't got no teeth. You and your wife, y'all look like y'all, you come off a scene of deliverance. And how do you think that you're better than a PhD educated family? A black family? How do you think that's living in an affluent neighborhood? How do you think you're better than them? How do you think you're better than Barack Obama? How does that work? And how does that doesn't even make sense. Does not make sense. I know it. It's a kind of psychosis. It's a trickery that they're using because they're trying to protect not their race. They're trying to protect what? Their money. And if they'll use anybody to protect their money, even their own, they will use even their own to protect themselves. What would happen if we all would get back to understanding that we are all one? What would happen if all of us will understand that we are God's children created in this image? And we could overthrow systems. We could overthrow strongholds. We could overthrow, all of these oppressive forces that try to separate us, because we understand that divine worth is not just given to one people. It is given to everyone. That's right, Culture Call. Divine worth is not just the black fang. It is also given to white, Asians, and Hispanic. Every human being, divine agency and worth is given to everyone. Listen, I could talk about this all day. Listen, but I gotta take a break. Listen, this is your boy L. Spencer Smith right here on the Culture Call, Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. Got more to come.
WTSK Tuscaloosa.
Hey everybody, it's time for Culture Call. Yeah. Hey everybody, it's time for Culture Call with them. This is the world.
And we are back. It's the top of the hour, 11 a.m. and some change right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Listen, we are having an amazing morning talking about divine worth, and I think it's important for us to talk about that on the week of Holy. Culture Call, that's right, on Holy Week as we celebrate the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's right. He came so that we could reclaim who God really made us to be and created us to be in the earth. That's, if you don't remember anything else, that what he was saving was our soul, our consciousness, our mindset, and understanding of that we are in the image of God. That's what 2 Corinthians chapter number 5:17 says. Verse 17 says that if any man be in Christ, we are new creations. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things are become new. We have a recreated spirit and mind, a transformed, renewed mind through his word as we receive him. That's right. And this week we celebrate that and get excited. I sound like my wife when she's at a Mary Kay convention. Get excited. That's right. That's right. I don't know if you can be a believer this week and not get excited about this, today, tomorrow, Good Friday, and early Sunday morning. You know how we do it. They're going to be preachers all over the country pulling the heroes early Sunday morning. Y'all know how we do it, right? Yes, get excited, get excited, get excited. Listen, just got a few community announcements for you. Listen, I personally want to invite you to the Impact Nation Fellowship Church as we celebrate Holy Week 2024, our Holy Week revival. We have a whole list and cadre of weekend services and experiences for you and your entire family that I want to personally invite you to be a part of. I think it's important for us to build community this time of year, and that's exactly what we are charged to do at the Impact Nation Fellowship Church right there in Alberta City. Listen, tonight and tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, we will be in our Holy Week revival. And I've got to tell you, I am super excited about this revival because we have none other than my friend, my brother, the inimitable pastor of the New Zion Baptist Church in Northport, Alabama, Pastor Greg Morris. Listen, he was one of the first people that embraced me and that walked with me 28 plus years ago when I moved here to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. A friend, a prayer warrior, a confidant. That's right. He will tell me the truth, offend me, whatever, but we've grown to have a relationship, and I wanted him to come to open up our Holy Week revival. He is pastoring in a tremendous church in Northport, New Zion, from our mentor, his up close, mine from a distance, Pastor Reverend Dr. E.J. James. I'm talking about he was a stalwart in the faith and have raised up many sons and daughters in the Tuscaloosa, Northport area. And so Pastor Greg is going to come and kick us off. And then on Friday, I am super excited to talk about one of my sons in the ministry, Elder Romel Gibson. I know many of you might know him from his civic duties and civic positions with Habitat for Humanity and various clubs and various organizations. But that boy can preach. I'm telling you, Friday, I am super looking forward to hearing what he has to say as we commemorate our Good Friday and communion services. So listen, I want to invite you to be a part of our Holy Week revival Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. That's right, at the Impact Nation Fellowship Church, right across from the old Leland Bowling Lanes in Alberta City. We are going to have a time with Pastor Greg Morris and Elder Romel Gibson. And it's going to be singing. We're going to worship, praise. We're going to dance. We're going to shout. That's right. We're going to do it all during our revival. And then on Saturday morning, that's right, Saturday morning beginning at 11 a.m., we're going to have our community barbecue and fun day. That's right. All of you who live in Tuscaloosa and definitely in Alberta City, you can come in and be a part of our family fun day, our community family fun day. We're going to have food, fun, games, something for the children. We're going to have sports, kickball, volleyball, It's all going to be there. I'm trying to make sure that they get voter registration out there as well to be able so that we can register the vote. We can make it, what they call party with a purpose. We are going to do that on Saturday. And guess what? Bring your children out. Why? Oh, good. I'm glad that you asked. We're going to have a second to none Easter egg hunt. That's right. We're going to do that for the children in our community. So guess what? If you want to be a part of that, Saturday is the day to come from 11 to 3. We'll be in on the church campus from 11 to 3 with bouncy houses and tents and all of that. Yeah, you can bring your chairs and we'll have music from a DJ. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to have a great time. I believe in having a good time. I believe that, just because we're believers, we don't have to be sad and sorry, singing Nearer My God to Thee every time we get together. No, we can have a great time and experience and build community. That's right, on Saturday. So don't miss that. And of course, on Sunday at 10 a.m. is our resurrection service. And I'm telling you, we are going to have a time. If our resurrection service is anything like our Palm Sunday celebration, I'm telling you, you do not want to miss it. God has given me a very special message for the body of Christ in the hour in which we live, and you don't want to miss it, right? So that if you're not serving at another church, if you're not singing in the choir, or you don't have any other responsibilities with any other local congregation near and far, right? If you don't have anything else to do, come to us and celebrate and share with our faith community at the Impact Nation Fellowship Church, 1110 26th Avenue East, right there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35404 in the Alberta City section of Alabama. It's going to be a time, and listen, I know you will be tremendously blessed. And so here it is. And not only that, take out your calendars and mark down Tuesday, April 2nd. That's right. Tuesday, April 2nd, the Business Health and Wellness Division at Shelton State Community College is excited to announce that they will be having their annual Health and Wellness Fair on that day, Tuesday, April the 2nd, 2024. And this event aims to provide students, staff, and community members with access to valuable resources, services, and information to support healthy living. Remember, we already talked about it, that He's come that we might have life and have it more abundantly. That's what we're going to do. That guess what? You have a part in making sure that you live long and that you prosper, right? So that you cannot be, just sedentary and sit around your house and do nothing, eat what you want to eat, how much you want to eat, and think that you're going to have a healthy and holistically a prosperous life. No, they want to teach us at Shelton State Community College how we can, have a healthy life and healthy living, right? They have the resources there. And so, hey, this year it's going to take place on the Martin campus of Shelton State Community College, and it's an excellent time to come and be a part of community. If you're a vendor, they want to have you there as well. Last day to register has already passed, unfortunately, they said, and that was on yesterday, on Wednesday the 27th. But nonetheless, you can come out from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and experience this health and wellness fair at the Shelton State Community College at the Martin campus. It's going to be wonderful. That's right. If you want to be a part, you need more information, call 205-391-2342. Yeah, that's right. 205-391-2342. That's right. Listen, make sure that you send, let me say it again, that you send all of your public service announcements and events to culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com, so that we can be your public service announcers and we can help you build up the people that come to your event. Listen, I'm going to say this, and this not being, braggadocious or anything, but we are the #1 talk show. Yes, our ratings are up there. So if you want to advertise, if you want to put your event on, listen, how my daddy said, we no Rudy Poop show. No, we are the #1. That's right. Number one in West Alabama. And so I need you. Go ahead and send it to me. It's not going to cost a thing if you put it, and I'll say it on my show, but you got to send it to me. Is that okay? Okay, great. Do that. culturecall.praise@gmail.com. This morning, we have been taking the necessary time to talk about divine worth, especially as we commemorate and celebrate Holy Week 2024. And I want to always bring a perspective. You know, people say, well, L. Bishop, why are you always talking about race? First of all, I think that what we're experiencing now in this country is the right platform and the right time for us to elevate that conversation again. I mean, we've never really stopped talking about it in America. And one of the things that we cannot do is, as the quote says, that those who refuse to know and understand their history are destined to repeat it. And when we see things going on, Culture Call, in our community, in our world, we have to look within. I think accountability and, yes, personal responsibility is important, because if you don't know the system, you will play yourself and allow the system to work against you. Absolutely. When you don't know, the laws and the legalities and the structures that have been set up for your disenfranchisement, then you will participate. And listen, let me tell you, I hear people, bring forward excuses a lot. Well, the mass incarceration, and I believe that. I believe those three strike minimums and all those things. I understand that was born out of the Reagan and the Bush, HW and the Clinton era. I believe all of those, those maximum sentences for minimal crimes are vestiges of the racial suppression and animus that is apparent in our country, right? And that fuels such, things to happen that take advantage of our community, black and minorities. However, we have to take personal responsibility. That you can't tell me that you're selling drugs and that you're in gang warfare, that you are pillaging and shooting in your community. And, when you go and you're caught and you go through the judicial system, that there should be prime consideration because you are black. No, we cannot use that anymore. We already know. I say it every week, at least once or twice, that we already know that there are systems set up against us. We already know that there is not equal justice in our system, that we know that if somebody does one thing from another community, and we do the same thing, that there's going to be a harsher judgment, And I tell people the philandering that the former president has done, and he has gotten off and delayed, the way he has been able to manipulate the judicial and the legal system has been a phenomenal thing to watch, right? And here it is, not siding with any of them, but here it is, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, is being kind of doing the same thing that the former president is accused of, and the feds broke in his two houses, raided his two houses, took his sons into custody, and are on the hunt for him, so to speak. Automatically we see that there are two different systems in America. So my question, Culture Call, especially for our young people, why play yourself? Why get involved into activity that's going to have you tied up and wrapped up into that system when you know that the book that they have devised is going to be thrown harshly at you? Why? I'm not talking about abusive law enforcement stopping and killing innocent people for traffic stops. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, no knock searches and, that happen and we just end up killed. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we allow our children and our young people to participate in crimes and try to get over in a system that when they get caught, they want to pull the race card. We can't do that. We cannot do that. There's got to be a generation that, yes, if the system is stacked against you, what our parents used to tell me when I was growing up, listen, it is what it is. Don't you participate in it. Don't you be around here doing illegal activities, stealing and robbing and pillaging. Don't be found, raping, and don't be found selling drugs and being in gangs. Don't be found in that, because the system is not going to be the same for you. My dad and mom and our village told us that. So, we never got involved where we had to be entangled with the legal system in this country. Right? We never did those things. And now these kids are thinking that it's going to turn out differently for them. And I want to be the sounding alarm, is that you're putting your divine worth and value on the line when you're playing and doing activity in a system where you already know is going to hold every jot and tittle, every little thing against you. If people that are black and brown don't make it to live, to testify in court out of a simple traffic stop, if they don't make it for that, guess what? Yeah, I'm telling you right now that don't put yourself in that position. Don't be in that community or in the congregation of those people that will make you compromise your worth, your value, your liberation, your freedom, your agency, right? That, they're your friends while you're doing it, but when you get caught, they will sell you out to maintain their freedom. Facts. Culture call. That's an amen. An amen goes right there. That if we ever get caught up into things, into notions, into things that will shackle us down, guess what? They're going to put us in jail. Our friends are not going to stand up for us. No. To save themselves, you did it. You were a prime factor, right? And so one of the things that we've got to do, if we're going to protect our divine worth, if we're going to protect our purpose and be all that we can be, we've got to begin to talk about our company, the company that we keep. There's a conversation to be had about that. And, it's one of those things. Not only do we need to have a conversation about law enforcement with our young people, Culture Call, but we also need to have a conversation about our choices and our decisions, right? That we need to really, and not just, let it go unspoken, as if they should know what not to do. No. We need to have the hard conversations and tell them, don't put your life and your purpose at risk because you're hanging out with the wrong people. The people who will encourage you to make bad decisions. Don't be in the company of those who make bad decisions, because when it all goes down, if your name comes up, then we can't rally behind you if you're there. If your fingerprints are are in the store, on the item, if your fingerprints are on the issue, it's much more difficult to defend you. And so we've got to begin to be very intentional about having conversations about choices and decisions. One of the greatest powers that God invested us with from the very beginning is the issue of self-will and making our own decisions. The issue of giving us the power of our choices. The power of our choices. Making decisions that matter in the long run. That's right. That look at it right now. Who are you hanging out with? Who is your company? Who are the people who are your influencers? Look at the people who you idolized. And in entertainment, in sports, in rap, in hip hop. Look at all actors, preachers. Look at who you're trying to look up to. And what is the sum total of their life? What are they doing? What are they known for? And you've got to ask yourself, do you want to be known like that? Do you want to have, their rap sheet or resume attached to your name? Because when you hang out with those kinds of people, guess what? What they do becomes what you do. Even if you didn't do it. What they do, let me say it again. What they do becomes what you do, even if you didn't actually do it. If you didn't pull the trigger, if you are with the person that pulled the trigger, guess what? Then you are just as guilty. They call it aiding and abetting. That you are at the wrong place at the wrong time. Do you know how many of our young black men and young black girls are incarcerated right now, not because they did anything, but that they were with the wrong people at the wrong place at the wrong time, and they had to give up their freedom for a friendship that was made in a moment. Right now, they've lost 10, 20, 30 years of their lives because they were hanging around the wrong people, trying to get status, trying to be cool, trying to be down, trying to quote unquote keep it real. There are people that are trying to keep it real and gangster that right now are wearing stripes or wearing orange, or better yet, or worse yet, rather, they're looking at a death penalty, especially in the southern states. You see? And so, yes, there are systems that are against us, but there are ways that we can mitigate even being a part and participating in that system. And that is making wise decisions and making wise choices every day that we live. Have the difficult conversations with our young people. Parents, have that conversation. And this conversation ain't that difficult. Again, when we were being reared, when I was coming up, they wanted to know who your friends were. Yeah, they had to meet your friends. My parents had to meet my friends. Who are they? Who are their people? Because certain behaviors they would connect to certain pedigrees, certain last names, right? When we were a closer knit community. And so, yes, go ahead. Why are you hanging out with them? Where are you going at 10:30 at night on a school night? Right? What kind of thing, what kind of party is happening on a school night? I'm just going to hang out with my friends at 11 o'clock at night when there's school tomorrow? Man, dad, man, mom, listen, nope, absolutely not. Because I would rather you be mad at me than me to be visiting you in the hospital, in the jail, or worse yet, viewing you at your funeral. Period. Be mad with me, but no, you're not hanging out with them. You got my last name. No, when we had you and brought you into this world, yes, there was something special attached to you. And whether you know your mother or your father, you have to make the decision that my life is going to be different. Let me say that again. You got to make the decision that my life is, yes, going to be different. And those are the harsh choices that you have to make. I know that you want to be in the in crowd, but hear me when I say, you can be in the in crowd all you want to be in the in crowd. But I'm telling you right now that will catch up to you and you won't even know you're out. You'll be out before you even get in, if I can say it like that. Culture call. It's a part of our community. to begin to re-ratify and re-engage our young people. Don't throw them away. Don't do it. Begin to tell them and cause them to understand. And, we allow them to present themselves any kind of way. No, let's bring back a family standard. Let's bring back a community standard. Let's bring back a community expectation. Yes, let's bring it back now. Let's do that. Why? Why is that important? Because if we don't, we're going to lose a generation and be blaming a system that we knew was already there. The system hasn't changed, has not changed since I was a teenager in the 70s and the early 80s. Has not changed since you were a teenager in the 50s and the 60s. The system is not a friend to our people. It's not. It's not. And that's okay. Because as long as you got an understanding, and all you're getting, get an understanding. Yes, there are people that are working and fighting to get certain laws and get certain perspectives changed and get it overthrown. But we also need to tell our young people their responsibility to maintain their worth and their value. Yes, don't go to Walmart and steal with your friends. Don't go to Target and steal food or whatever it is. Don't do that. Don't throw away your future to have a couple of laughs. It's not funny. It is culture call. It's not funny at all. At all. And I look at what's happening in Tuscaloosa. I look at what's happening in Birmingham, in Bessemer. I think Bessemer, Alabama is like one of the number one in terms of crime in the entire country. Bessemer, Alabama. Right? I'm looking at what's going on in Fairfield. I'm looking at what's going on in all of these other places. And I have to stop and say, hey, if we're going to rescue the worth and value of the next generation, then we are going to have to take some responsibility for the young people. Yes, they are going to get mad. They're going to have an attitude. Yes, but you're not out here. See, I know certain things are a fashion statement now, are trend setting. Listen, and I get it. I talk to the young men at my church all of the time. I talk to them all of the time. Hey, son. Hey, look, you going out into a world where your mom and your daddy and your church ain't going to always protect you. Get a haircut. It ain't going to cost you a thing. I'm just letting it grow. Why? Why you wanted to look like that? Why? Well, because I'm letting it grow in its natural state. Okay. So do you take care of it? I mean, you still, because there are products you can use if you're going to do that, right? Don't just go out, telling my young ladies, don't just go out how you want to go out. Don't just go out in your bonnet. I know you got agency. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm just comfortable. Don't go out in your bonnet. Don't go out in your pajamas. Represent something. Look like you got worth. Because guess what? Men look at the outward appearance. And this country, they're going to treat you how you show up. They're going to treat you and respect you, or better yet, disrespect you based upon how you show up, how you present yourself. I was walking in the airport traveling somewhere, and this young lady, she had on her bonnet walking through the Hartsville, Atlanta airport. She was walking on with her with pajamas on, with her bonnet on, and her her slippers on, walking through the airport trying to catch a flight. Huh? And that's all right? Y'all, culture call, that makes sense? No. Let me use the text. What the text does is it connects two ideas. Right? When Jesus healed that demoniac, that young boy that was tortured in his mind, right? That was cutting himself and among the tombs. Right? Here's what the Bible says, that he was clothed and in what? His right mind. So clothing and what you wear, your attire, is connected to the evidence that you are in your right mind. right? That's why I encourage them. Yes. Don't have your pants hanging down. That's not, and some people say, well, that leave the young boys alone, let them express themselves. You don't understand. They're not living in the microcosm of simply their community. They have to become aware, self-aware that there is a community that's around them that's going to judge them how they present themselves. And that is against the notions of divine worth. And we've got to begin to, again, impart that into our young people. Listen, 205-752-4800. That's 205-752-4800. This is the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Yes, right here on Praise 93.3. Listen, hit me up on the app. Let me know what you're thinking. We'll be right back. This is the World. And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3, your inspiration station, and all day long we have been talking about divine worth. That's right. On the backdrop of Holy Week and what is currently happening in our country. And I want to say, listen, I thank all of you all for hitting me up and calling in. I'm telling you, y'all are a blessing. I'm telling you, the folks hit me up on this chat. That's right, Bishop. Say it. That's right. That's right. Tell them. You know, I think we all have a responsibility to each other. That's what community is about. That is what community is about. And I don't think that anybody does community like black folks. Period. I just don't think that there's a certain seasoning. Can I say that? Yeah. There's a certain spice culture call to the nuance of how we do community, right? There's a difference in community when we are weddings, and definitely a different kind of community in our homegoings, right? We don't even call them funerals. We call them homegoings. There's a different type of community that we experience and we feel, at graduation and any level of celebration. We definitely, are the epitome of rejoicing with those that rejoice and weeping with those that weep. That we have a village, that we are the one that says it takes a village to raise a child. And I was looking online and I saw this young lady that was saying, that she doesn't have a village. And it's almost like she had a kind of upset. And I get it, because really today, in order for us to really thrive in this country, beyond education, beyond all of our, monetary success and living in different neighborhoods, this disconnection that we experience with regards to community need be recaptured. I was talking to a pastor friend of mine, and we were talking about, when we were growing up, we lived maybe about 10 minutes away from our church, right? And so we did community there. And in that mid-lane section of Monk's Corner, we did, community there. Everybody came, you could walk to church. Most people could walk to church, to the church that I grew up in. And as we have become affluent and, we've got better jobs and now we can afford better homes and live in better neighborhoods, part of the things that we sacrifice has been community, has been village. And, that's been a great lament. And part of it I can understand. About that. But a part of that, you can live in a different community, but don't be invisible from your community. I'm not saying not to, once you prosper and you do well, not to live in the subdivision of your choice. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to, not to live in or not to go send your child to the best schools in your city. That's not what I'm saying. So please don't think that I'm saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But a sense of community, true community, that is, overrides all of that. I think community overrides all of those notions. I think when we have an understanding of, when we have an understanding of what it means to be connected to each other, that yes, community is where we, root and ground, if I can say that, divine purpose and worth, because we are the ones that get to experience and recognize the gifts, the talents, the purposes, and the great things that God has destined for each and every one of us to be. We're the first ones that come to the school program or to the church Easter program or the Christmas program, and we clap for you. We're the first ones in the community. I'm talking about that cheer for you when you're playing baseball or football. We're the ones that recognize who you are from little league all the way up to varsity and high school. We're the ones that are the launching pad and give you the first scholarship that we can give you in our community. Right? And I think we can't lose that notion, because I think as the years have progressed, as we have progressed, we've also digressed. We've also digressed, and we've become part and parcel of this whole notion of that Americana, to have the American dream is also to mean to dissimulate from ourselves and to assimilate with the majority culture. And I don't think that is so. I think that you can prosper, you can have money, you can have wealth. Yeah. You can have, your children can go to the best schools, and yet you maintain a sense of groundedness, a sense of that's my family. Yes, you can live on the south side, the north side, and still say my family's on the west side, and still go to church there and still hang out with people that look like you. I am not, and I tell people this all the time, I'm not for multiracial, multi-ethnic, multicultural experiences. I'm not against that. I'm definitely not against that. No. Because I think we do ourselves well when we understand what it means to be a part of this, this melting pot, quote unquote, of America. I think we do need to understand the various nuances, distinctive and relative of each ethnic, of each culture. And dare I say, yes, each race. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But at the beginning and the end of the day, I don't think that you should be taught and you should gravitate to any kind of experience that does not at least accentuate or have some kind of understanding of who you are and how you live and walk and be in this world. Absolutely not. I can't go to be a part of an organization that's supposed to be multi-ethnic or multiracial, multicultural, and it never speaks on the things that literally affect me and my people. That I am taught that, put that under the blood, or we are all kingdom, or worse yet, here's the great lie, that we are colorblind. No, absolutely. I don't want to be in fellowship and connection to anyone that sells that fabrication of that we are colorblind. Come on, y'all. Stop it. Don't do that. I need you to recognize that there is difference. And I need you to see that difference affects how we both are treated and what we experience in this country and, dare I say, in this world. Yes, I do need my white brothers and sisters to understand that simply because of their color, they have privilege. Period. That they will never be judged by the institution concerning their race. That their race, the institution favors them. Period. I mean, and it is what it is. It is what it is. And I mean, that whole notion of we begin there. See, we understand it, right? Because we can't trade this melanation. This melanation is essential to who God created us to be and what we are called to do in the earth. Right? So I don't need other communities not to see it, that we are all one. Yeah. But I need you to also stand up for our community when you know that the police wouldn't do something in your community that it does in our community. That when we congregate, that's a reason for law enforcement to gather and to be called. But when y'all hang out in at Publix or Winn-Dixie or at Target with all your trucks and your cars and no police are there, you're not harassed, you're able to be. I need you to understand. Yeah, I need you to understand that that's the privilege that's given to your whiteness. Right? I need you to understand that. And if anything goes down and you're a part of that and you're adjacent to that and you're a black person, if law enforcement gets involved, they're going to confront you first. It's documented. It's documented. And so we have to understand, watch this. You know, I was talking to this young man and and something came up and he said, you know, Bishop, can I be honest with you? And I said, yeah, sure. He said, I think we are as a people afraid to hang around each other. And I almost started to refute him until I thought about it. Until I thought about it. That we are afraid to be around ourselves. We are afraid to be around our own community. And, you know, that unnerves me. That does scare me. And it's something to be said about it. That we have to make sure that as we go forward, as we move forward, that we have this sense of no longer being afraid of being a part of each other's lives. I love my beautiful black and brown people. You are essential to my life. You are essential to who we are in this world. And I think to negate that, to throw that away, to act as if, you know, that's not a reality, that we miss an opportunity. And again, that's why I tell you, we have to watch out how media paints our community, because it's causing not just fear in their community, but oftentimes it causes fear in our community, that we are afraid when we see young black boys and young black girls gathered together. We are afraid, right? And that hinders community. That's probably why we migrate out of our communities. Because there's a fear that I'm not safe. I'm not safe around the people who I should be safe around. And I think that's a notion that we got to really, you know, we got to toggle with. We got to deal with it. I think that's very, very important. And if we don't do that, if we don't talk about and lay aside our fears and our differences, if we don't see, regardless of what side of town we're on, that we are one family, that we all have worth before God, that we all must stand up for each other, we're going to miss an opportunity, I think, to raise our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, to be powerful people that rally around each other, that know how to support and to undergird each other, to protect each other. I think that's very important. Don't you, Culture Call? I think that when we walk away with the notion of that, I don't necessarily want to be around my folks. I don't necessarily want to be around them. I don't necessarily want to be, you know, measured with them. I don't want to be identified with them. You know, I think that's why some people get adjacent and talk that look like you and I and talk bad about us when they get in other spaces because of fear. Of fear. It's that kind of, I don't want these folks to think I'm like them. Huh? Absolutely. That's what it is. That's why we have people who can get on their platforms and echo them that look like you and I, and we'll be bewildered like, wait a minute, hold on. What do you see when you look in the mirror? That's how, you know, that you're playing the Steven in the movie Django. I talked about that earlier this week. You're that one that will sell us out to maintain your distantiation away from us. And that's not how it always was. That, you know, we were reared in communities that took care of each other. We knew Miss Mabel. We knew, you know, Mr. Jimmy. We knew, you know, Miss Daphne, Mama Ada. We knew what, you know, the businesses. We knew the school teachers. We created a community and a village where we could become aware of who we were, that we could grow and thrive and be our best. And then when we could not move into certain neighborhoods, we would come back with our college degrees, our master's degrees, with our theological degrees, our seminary training, and we would come and start in our own community because that's the only place that we could go. Now we have options. And those options, Culture Call, have provided us with obstacles, and those obstacles oftentimes show itself against the community that we desperately, desperately needed, that we desperately need now. Yeah. To begin to look out and say, hey, you know you shouldn't be doing that. You know your mama raised you better than that. You know your daddy raised you better than that. And the children would actually be respectful and listen. Yeah. That they would respect their elders and their adults. That if they were using profanity, if they were doing anything that was wrong, that they would literally stop, because in our community, in our village, we respect the standard. And that's something that we need to recapture. Don't you think, Culture Call? I know that's the truth. That is something that we need to recapture if we're going to remember our worth and our agency in the world. Listen, this is L. Spencer Smith right here on the Culture Call, Praise 93.3 FM. Listen, I see the runway, but we've got a little bit more to talk about. I need you to stay right here, get hydrated, and keep it locked right here on the show. This is the Listen, my friends, it has been an awesome show. I'm telling you, we've had a terrific, fantastic Thursday. Even as we go forward in this Holy Week, I want to remind you, listen, this is a time of celebration. If nothing else, celebrate your divine worth. Celebrate your purpose. Celebrate if you are a person of faith. That's right. Celebrate your abundant, eternal, everlasting life. Listen. Let's do what we can do to build up our community. That's right. As you go around celebrating at your church and, worshiping together and praising together, or even on Good Friday, whatever your Good Friday looks like, if you're not, your church is not having Good Friday, I want to recommend that you stop by my church. That's right, the Impact Nation. I want to recommend that you be a part of our Holy Week revival. It's going to be a blast. But nonetheless, whatever you do for the remainder of this week, tomorrow is Good Friday, and it's a mournful time in history. It is a dark day in history. But we know that the story doesn't end on Friday. That's why it's good. That the workings of God is seen on Golgotha's hill, on Calvary's cross, on a hill called Calvary, right? In the place of the skull, Golgotha. Yeah, we're seeing God's plan work out for all humanity. And I don't want you to miss that. I want you to do everything you can possibly do to really find a place, even beginning today, of focus, a place where you say, you know what? I thank God for all that he has done. First of all, I thank him for creating me. Yes, I do. I know I may not be all that you want me to be. I may not be your cup of tea, but somebody's pouring me. Yes, now. Did y'all get that? I said I might not be your cup of tea, but somebody is enjoying pouring me. Somebody is drinking. Somebody loves what I do. And we ought to celebrate that kind of life on the inside of us. Yes, we ought to celebrate that kind of life, that kind of purpose and agency on the inside of us. Because guess what? He did it all just for you and I. And that's a message. That's a sentiment we need to share with as many people as we possibly can. Listen, while we're celebrating, I want to reiterate, don't forget that there are people that are mourning and that are grieving literally all over this country. They have lost loved ones, those in Baltimore. People in my church have lost loved ones. People in your church and your community have lost people. And while we are wearing our new hats, our new suits, while we're getting ready to celebrate, I want you to know that there are people that are doing their best just to make it through this season. Let's wrap our arms around them. Let's offer them our prayers. Let's make sure that we are a part of a community that provides comfort and peace to them. Let them know that, yes, let me wax preacher real quick. Weeping may, but joy will. Let them know that weeping may, but joy will. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. And let us embrace them. Yes, let us walk with them. Let us go out and teach our youth and our young people about divine worth and the sacredness of their choices. That what they decide to do today will either create a path, a healthy path toward their future, or it will diminish them, or it will cause them to lose all hope and value in their tomorrow. That's what we have to do. Yes, and let's do it together. And yes, let us stand up with our heads tall and our face toward heaven and our back straightened, saying that I am who God has made me to be, and I make no apology for what my worth and my purpose in the earth. Listen, as my grandmama and my mama used to say at the end of every phone call, I love you, a bushel and a peck and a hug around the neck. This is your boy, the Bishop L. Spencer Smith, right here on the Culture Call. Praise 93.3. Listen, I need you to keep it right here to listen to the best and good, great, and excellent gospel music. We're going to be blazing all day and all through this holy week. Be kind, be at peace, love each other intentionally, hug somebody, and at all costs, do well, do good to each other. And we'll meet you right back here on tomorrow. That's right, on Good Friday. Don't you dare miss it. I love you. Y'all have a great day. Peace.